Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this digital event by ArcVision. Today's topic is exploring Enscape 4.1. Really super excited about this one today. Some pretty cool new features in 4.1 that we think everyone should know about. And we know there's some cooler things coming down the road here in the next weeks and months with Enscape, and we're excited to see the evolution of what the Chaos folks are doing with this product. Let me make a quick introduction here. So my name is Corey Rubidoux, CEO of ArcVision. We've got Kelsey on board here with us today, Sales Operation Manager at ArcVision. She'll be around checking over the questions that are coming up during this presentation, and we'll save all our Q&A for the end, and she'll help us with that. And then Josh Radle from Chaos, application engineer, is here to do his presentation, and he'll give us a show around on 4.1. We will save all our Q&A to the end, like I said before, but you can use the Q&A section of the Zoom meeting to ask your questions, and we'll pile those up and we'll save them to the end to get to those with Josh. So without any further ado, I'll just turn this over to Josh. Josh, welcome. Thanks for coming today and taking your time out of your day to do this for us. And definitely looking forward to what you have to show us today.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. All right. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to this. This is gonna be fun. All right. So what are we talking about today? With Enscape 4.1, we introduced some pretty cool new things with it. So some of the main things we're going to touch on today are Enscape Impact. It's one of our biggest ones that came out. Chaos and AI enhancer, artistic visual modes, and colored shadows. All right. So what's the first one we're going to jump into is Enscape Impact. So this is a really big one for us. So what is this? So currently, right now, it's a Windows-only add-on developed in partnership with a company called IES. So IES is a global leader in innovating building design and analysis software. It's designed to help integrate real-time rendering with building performance analytics seamlessly. So it's really good for real-time energy analysis, fully integrates into your native CAD and BIM workflows, and for data accuracy for more informed decision-making. So we can check out how that's looking inside of Enscape. So what we're first going to do is notice we have a new little toolbar, or a new little button inside of our toolbar up here inside of Enscape. So it sits right next to the site context tool. It's got the little lightning bolt on it. So this is still very much in beta. So what you're going to do is once you click on that, you're first going to have to go to the settings tab here, and you're going to answer 3 simple questions. Where's the building located? So it should by default take the location of the building from Revit. If not, you can definitely type that in anywhere that you would like. Just type in the location, it'll pull it up. And then you're going to set the building type. So what kind of building is this? So you're going to get a couple different questions or a couple different options to answer. So we can say this is just an office building. And then you're going to answer what year was it built in. So we can say this was built in, let's go for nice round number 2000. And then what you're going to do is see down on the bottom that it is doing its analysis. So it's doing is a voxel analysis. So it's going to go through and analyze the scene for closed off spaces and rooms, windows, things like that. And what that's going to do is once that's done, it's going to show up inside your dashboard, and then it's going to show all the different types of information that we can get. So like peak loads, and then this false color visualization option will be checked. So then you can toggle between the different peak loads, cooling energy, heating, and solar gains as well. And that's just going to kind of do like an overlay over the Enscape window, and it's going to show you highlighting those individual spots. So while this is doing its analysis, one thing to note is staying true to the Enscape form, whatever changes you're making inside the Enscape window. If you have this tool open, you make a change, it's going to rerun the analysis as well. So this is one of those go make changes, make sure everything's how you want, and then run the analysis again. So it's not sitting there constantly trying to update the analysis for you every single click you do. So this is definitely, one of those maybe at the end of the day or a couple times a day, when you're at a certain part of the project or a certain part of your daily workflow where you want to run the analysis.
So Joshua, this is going, just a quick question from my side. How does Enscape know which building to render? I see multiple buildings in this particular scene right here.
Mhm.
Uh, how is it differentiating what's being calculated on the building performance side?
So these were actually Enscape assets.
Aha, gotcha. Cool.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. Yeah, so it's not going to render those. It's just going to render the geometry from Revit.
Makes sense. Cool.
Yep. Yep. And then also while it's still going, again, with those different types as well, those are just simple questionnaire ones that you answer. And then it's going to go through and analyze based on those, kind of do like a more benchmark against what those different types of buildings should be doing. So it's really good for enhanced collaboration between architects and engineers. Supposed to provide a more unified, seamless transition, help keep both of them involved throughout the design process as well.
So this is a starting point for people to
Yep.
get a good understanding of what's going on with the building performance, and then really try to make some good design decisions, educated design decisions before handing this off to more building performance specialists or consultants that are going to come into the project and do a
Yep.
more in-depth analysis, right?
Exactly. Yep. 100% right. All
Super.
right. Now that it's finished, we can go check our dashboard. And now we're going to get some different types of information about this. So we can see the peak loads is at 74.84 kilowatts. We'll get information about total carbon emission, energy usage intensity as well. And then we can see if we hover over each part, it's going to give us a little tooltip about some more information. Again, if we hover over that, we can see 34% of our energy use is coming from equipment, space heating, 13%. Lighting is going to contribute to 37% of our energy usage on this building. And now if we go back to settings, this is where if we can toggle that false color. And now again, what this is going to do is it's going to just take the image and it's going to do like a nice little map over it. So we can see what this is doing here. So for our peak loads, we can see, blue is more obviously lower. Red is pretty high energy usage. So for peak loads, we can even do, heating energy as well. And when you're toggling between the two, you can see the difference that it's making for each one of them there. Same for cooling energy.
So this is cool. So we're walking around this model, right? Real time, looking
Yep.
at energy analysis from 360-degree by all around the
Yep.
entire model. This is very cool, right?
Exactly. Yep. And again, this is still very much in beta. So each new release, we're going to keep updating this tool as well. So definitely try it out and then let us know your feedback.
Absolutely. Does this take into account the width of the glass and walls based on the geometry in the model, or is this more of a generalized estimation? Do you know the answer to that?
I believe it's just more of a generalized estimate.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So that's a good overview of our Enscape Impact tool. Got some things about it, how it works. So now, what is next up on our list? The Chaos AI Enhancer. So what this tool does, obviously AI is a hot topic now, but this is still very much in beta phase and it's an experimental feature. It's doing exactly what the name suggests. It's just enhancing people and vegetation. So how can we get to this? So all you gotta do is simply, it's this little magic wand tool now. So it's good for like the last 15% of it when you need that extra little detail with people and vegetation. You just want to enhance it a little bit. So all you're going to do is simply hit this AI enhancer button and tell it where you want to save the rendering. And then from there, it's going to start producing that. It should take around 2 to 5 minutes. I already have prepared some images to show you guys the differences. So here's before, and then here's after. So you can see the differences that it's making in the people. Again, this is before the AI enhancer and then after the enhancer. So adding that extra detail that we need to produce more of a photorealistic render in here. And one thing pretty cool to watch is watch the grass down here. So we can see there's after. So we can see the detail that's getting in the people and in the grass. So again, adding those subtle variations inside of each one here to really add more detail into it. And before, after. And again, currently right now, this is just enhancing people and vegetation. So trees, grass, people. And again, this is still very much in beta phase. So definitely try it out. Let us know your feedback. If you're getting any weird images that shouldn't be there, definitely let us know. And we'll send that over to the team. Here's before, here's after as well.
Josh, this is pretty cool. Just again, from my side, is this all proprietary technology you guys using and training your own models to do all this work and getting this AI running in Enscape?
Yep, all our own in-house stuff.
Very cool.
So, yep, and again, that button can be found here. It's the little plus button. And so you just set the image that you want. One thing to note is you do have to have it at full HD, because what it's going to do is also going to enhance the image, plus it's going to upscale it to 4K. So it will only work if it's full HD. So if you try to do it at Ultra HD, it wouldn't work. So that's a little tooltip as well. It has to be a full HD rendering. And then again, it's going to upsample that to 4K as well. So that's our AI enhancer again. Still in beta phase, but going to be a continued work in progress. All right, now the artistic visual modes. So this is a really cool one for us. A big feature request was more stylistic rendering. So in our new visual settings mode, we're going to be able to have the ability to walk through screenshots and batch rendering and video exports of different new artistic styles as well. So where are these features at? So for those that are familiar with Enscape, in the visual settings tab, we have the style modes here. So we have white mode, polystyrol, light view. Well, now what you're going to have is sketch mode and watercolor. So for the first one, this is sketch mode here. So this is going to do like an overlay over your scene and kind of give you a nice, more stylistic, sketchy look to it. More of an advanced white mode and outlines. What you can do is you can change the outline thickness as well. I like normal. And then you have a couple different options as well. So for jitter, what this is going to do is notice the edges of the building here. They're getting a little bit more jittery. It's kind of looking like my pen drawings. I can't really draw a straight line. So we can see what that's doing there. And then you can also, there's a feature for extended lines. So it's going to give it a nice stylistic look to it as well, more of a hand-drawn look. And a really cool feature is when there's shadows, we have the ability to do hatch shadows. So now anything that's in shadow, it's going to put that nice hatch shadow. Also, when you're changing the time of day too, you can see all of this updating as well. When it's nighttime mode, you're going to get some nice hatching for a nighttime scene as well. So really cool to get some nice, more hand-drawn sketches as well. And for the transparent glass, this is where if you toggle that off, anything that's deemed glass inside of Enscape, it's just going to make that a solid color, solid white color. And then we have under the palette, we have pen, pencil as well. And then probably one of my favorite ones is colored pencil. So this is a really cool one. It's just going to give a nice colored pencil look to it. And again, if I want to toggle the transparency glass, it'll make the glass transparent so I can see inside of my building. But now this is really cool because, when you're walking around the model, you can be walking around it in a full colored pencil walkthrough, which is really powerful to do here. And again, when you're changing the time of day too, those clouds are going to update. And then the last one is watercolor. So this is another really cool one. So it's going to give it a nice watercolor effect for you. And you have a couple different options as well. So you have a color gradient. And if you hover over any of them, it's going to give it a nice, the color gradient is going to affect the hue of the, so there we go. It's going to make it a lot more saturated. Toggle it back down a little bit more. And then the bleeding effect, what that's going to do, it's going to kind of overlap the colors. So kind of start blending those two together there. Again, you get the option for transparency glass too. It's going to turn everything blue as well for glass. And the best part is too, since this is inside the visual settings tab, you can also assign these to a different visual preset. So for those that don't know, you can create views inside of Enscape, and you can have different visual settings tied to each individual view. So this is where you could have one preset that's just called watercolor, and then you can set that up how you want and assign that to a view. So anytime you're jumping back and forth between views, you're going to see either your high quality rendering one or a watercolor one. So you have a lot of different options that you can do here with these different visual presets as well. All right, Corey, any questions on the watercolor modes or?
I noticed the trees moving around there. So
Yeah.
see the animation effect of those trees is also kind of being represented in those modes. It's really cool.
Yep, exactly. And then also, again, this goes for batch rendering, still rendering, batch rendering, and then also video walkthroughs as well too. So, if we wanted to do a little walkthrough, we could hit the plus button, to add a keyframe, and then kind of navigate over to where we want to go next. Something like that. Add the plus button again, and then hit preview. Oh, there we go. My camera's right now. There we go. Hit preview. And now you get, nice video preview of what this is going to look like in a watercolor effect.
Nice.
So
Going back to the presets, can you share those presets with your team members? Can you share those?
Yep. So here, what we can do here is I can show you where that is. So what you're going to do is you're going to create that preset, let's just say watercolor. And then what you're going to do is click the three dots here. Here, let me get my watercolor mode back on. There we go. Hover over it, click these three dots, and hit save as file. That's just going to save that as a text file. And then what I can do, I can send that to you, and then click import. Or you'll click import, and then you can import that.
Oh, that's sweet. That's
and
great.
Maintain all those. So
that's great.
Yeah, and again, these visual presets will take everything that's inside of all these different tabs as well.
Now, in this particular case, I see that the sky's pretty white and washed out. Can you change the sky like you normally would in Enscape in this mode?
Yep. So if you hold, shift and right mouse click, you can change the time of the day. So you can see the clouds are changing. You can even go inside the sky tab and adjust, the density of the clouds, variety of them too.
Sweet.
Yeah. So just like normal Enscape, but with that background, the watercolor background there.
Very cool.
Yeah. Then even when you go to nighttime, it's going to give it a cool nighttime effect.
Nice. Wow. That's great.
Yeah. I think, watercolor and colored pencil are probably my two favorite ones so far. Just had something different.
Yeah.
Especially for like early stage designs too. If you're not really ready for the final textures yet, you just want more of a conceptual design. Like, yeah, this is perfect for it.
So this might seem like an odd one, but I'm wondering, would the image enhancer work over the top of these images too?
Yep. Yep, it does.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. It'll still maintain the watercolor effect too. It just kind of like enhance like the outline edges of certain things.
It gives the entourage and just a little more detail to it.
Yep, a little extra detail to it.
Very cool.
All right, and then one of our last ones is colored shadows. So this was a really big one for us. So last year we introduced the colored shadows. So what this would do is any piece of glass that had a color on it would show the color of the shadow when light was passing through it. So that was a really big one for us. So if you want to do like a stained glass effect or something like that, you would have to sit there and model each individual piece of the glass and then color that. So that was kind of time consuming to do. So now with this new update that we did, you can actually apply images to the piece of glass, and those shadows are going to show up for you here. So we can take a look at what that's doing here. So let me toggle this off here. And now what I can do is, so let's say for my main door right here, I want to put a colored image there. So what I can do is, so let's go split screen this. So this is something new as well. So inside the Enscape material editor, you'll notice there is a new type of material. So before Enscape 4.1, this glass material was not there. So this is, again, something new for Enscape 4.1, this new glass material. So this is where you're going to add in that color. So you're going to hit base texture. I'm going to go find my color that I want to show. I'm going to pick this image. I'm going to click open. And now let's sit there for a sec. And then the color of the shadow is going to show up on my floor here. There we go. So we can see what that's doing. Now, when I'm changing the time of day, it's fully respecting what image I have inside of there. So this is really cool, doing light studies as well, but something add a little bit more realism to the scene as well with this new image. We did have somebody ask if you can add a video texture in there, and answer is yes, you can. So then the colors of the video will be playing on the floor.
I was actually going to ask that on the fly because that's cool because I can see this as a projector on a screen and
Yep.
a movie theater type of situation. As
Yep.
an very, very cool. And time saving, right? I mean, ultimately, like if somebody was doing a church and wanted to do a stained glass window before, I think in kind of Mondrian style, even a red, blue, yellow,
Yeah.
orthogonal forms, you still have to break that down in the model and assign the glass material to each one and then let that affect. In this case, you could go into Photoshop and design
Yep.
these images and actually iterate through this, right? And look at different things on the fly. And this just makes it easier without having to go back and remodel stuff. You could eventually do that, right? I suppose, and model some
Yeah.
things, but that's cool. A big time saver for people. I'm sure of it.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, saving time. And again, all it is a simple image. All you have to do is throw it inside the base texture here. And here's what this new glass material type looks like. Here's the different parameters you get as well. You can still load in your different material maps as well to really add in that glass material. So you can still put a normal map in there. You can still put the reflection map in there as well too. So all things that really help enhance that glass as well. And one thing for those that might not know, anything you're changing inside of this Enscape material editor will push back inside of Revit or whatever host design application you're using. So in this case, Revit. So this material is going to go show up inside your Revit model now.
So that's bi-directional, right?
Yep.
It's show up in your Revit project. So if you're making design decisions and applying it to your Enscape scene, it gets back in your Revit model material there, and people can see it right directly in the project.
Exactly. So that's one of the biggest things I like about that material editor is I can assign my materials in Revit, set all the information up in the identity tab that I need to. I can set my surface patterns up and everything like that. So it's looking good in Revit. And then for my appearance tab, I can work inside the Enscape material editor, and it's going to keep these material maps bi-directional or whatever I'm more comfortable working in. If I'm more comfortable working inside of here, it's going to go update inside of Revit for me, or inside the Enscape material editor for me as well.
So just again sorry for the on the fly questions here, but just for some users that maybe aren't that detailed into materials and in Enscape and just kind of use what they get. Has this feature been around for a while or just new to 4.1? It's a bidirectionality for the materials been there for quite a while.
So new to Revit, yeah. It came in 3.1.
Okay, all right. So it's been around. Okay, it's been around for a while. Okay.
Yep. SketchUp had this material editor for quite some time before.
Got it.
But yeah, this Enscape material editor came in 3.1. And then we could even spend more time talking about this whole material editor too, if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like using this thing because then you can preview what some different Enscape materials are going to look like all through here as well. So
Very cool.
yeah. All right, let's see what else. And then in addition to that, obviously with new versions of Enscape come new assets. So we got about 78 new assets for the region of Mexico. So if you launch Enscape for the first Enscape 4.1 for the first time, there will be a tag for new inside your asset library, and it'll show all those different Enscape assets. Fortunately, I can't show it because I've been using 4.1 for quite some time now, so it doesn't show new for me. But again, if you jump on Enscape 4.1, you'll see those new changes as well. All right. And that was some of the main features of Enscape 4.1 that we wanted to cover today. Is there any questions?
Awesome. Let's see what's out there here for the audience.
Oh, sorry, 122 new vegetation assets and a couple Salindo props as well.
Awesome. That's great. Couple questions. What's new in I mean, can you touch on, you may not be able to touch on this. So someone's asking what's coming, what's in the works and what's coming down the pipe with some of the stuff. It seems like you guys are getting some more momentum underneath the new features, and Impact is really powerful and stuff. Is there anything else on the radar for you guys?
We're just going to keep further refining the chaos ecosystem. So one of the big things that we introduced in 4.1 that we're going to keep refining as well, if people are not aware, was the VR scene exporter button. So the VR scene exporter button, that was a big one that allowed us to go out of Enscape, and it solved a big problem when your architects or interior designers are working with outside consulting firm or outside visualization firms that are using like 3ds Max and V-Ray or Cinema 4D and V-Ray. Because a lot of times when they'd send the model from Revit, say, they'd have to pretty much remodel the thing from scratch because the geometry wasn't really workable, materials didn't come across, Enscape Assets didn't come across, things like that. So it was kind of hard to keep that seamless workflow going. So with this VR scene exporter button, this allows you to export a scene from Enscape, and it's going to take all the geometry, all the materials, all the Enscape assets, and then you can send that to your ArcViz artist, and they can go into V-Ray for 3ds Max, go file import, and that'll bring all that geometry across. They'll bring all the materials across, automatically convert them to V-Ray materials, and then it'll be able to see the Enscape assets as well. And that camera position will come across too. So it gives them a good starting point going forward so they can keep working. So they don't really have to start from scratch. So that's a really big thing that's coming, and we're going to keep refining that process as well, kind of making one end-to-end ecosystem so you can go from real-time rendering to hyper-realism all without having to start from scratch.
That's very cool.
Yep. So we're going to keep refining that process. AI Enhancer is going to keep getting some updates as well. Same with Impact. So those are coming out in the future as well. A couple other things I can't really talk about right now, but soon they'll be coming out.
Totally understand.
Yep.
When you're showing the glass material, I just kind of had this thought in my head, at least. That glass materials and the parameters around it start to remind me of the V-Ray glass materials and so on and so forth. So are some of those physical properties now be able to get extended on the typical Enscape materials so that V-Ray can read these better and things like that? So is the photorealism and you think it'll get approached in Enscape at all? You think you'll start seeing more photorealism in Enscape because of that relationship with V-Ray?
That's a good question. I don't 100% know the answer to that one.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I mean, obviously you still can't beat the V-Ray engine.
Yeah.
Like the V-Ray engine is, it's undoubtedly the highest quality rendering engine out there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get offline rendering quality with real-time rendering quality. So we're doing as much as we can to improve that rendering quality, but ultimately, V-Ray still have far superior rendering quality.
Yeah. Got a question here that came in. Can those V-Ray scenes be used in Chaos Vantage?
Yes. So in Chaos Vantage, we'll take VR scenes. I was experimenting around and using it as kind of like a scene or a model aggregator. So now this is really cool. So if you have a team working in a Rhino model and you have a team working in a Revit model, you can both export VR scenes and combine them inside of Vantage as well. So for those that don't know what Chaos Vantage is, it's our standalone real-time ray tracing engine. So can handle amazing amounts of geometry.
Even for those of you watching today, we did a webinar with Chaos about 2 months ago, I think, on Vantage. That there's recording available on our YouTube channel for that. So that's a good kind of crossover here to kind of talk about that VR
Yeah.
scene functionality from Enscape.
It,
I'll riff on that just for a second, if you don't
yeah.
mind.
Go for it.
So um, can you share the VR scene? So I'm aware that you can import VR scenes into Max, and I'm pretty sure you can bring them into SketchUp as well, and maybe even inside of Revit. So earlier in the conversation, when I asked about the how the building in the building performance calculations was focused on just the building, when you had other buildings in the scene, you said there are Enscape assets in there. Um, could those have been V-Ray scene files that are imported in and quote unquote loaded and merged into that Revit file as well?
I mean, technically, yeah,
Yeah,
it could be. Yeah, if you just bring the VR scene in, yeah, technically.
very cool.
I've not tried it personally, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's definitely
That might be something I'd like to experiment with, just generally speaking. So, maybe a little bit off topic, but the Enscape assets, the buildings that were there as Enscape assets, how did those get created? Were you involved with that creation process? And how is that? Because that's in my mind, it's a interop thing, right? It's like you're starting to, sounds like you guys are starting to build these little ecosystem components with, that are either maybe V-Ray, maybe Enscape. I know Cosmos is in the picture and things like that.
Yep.
I was surprised to hear that those buildings that were in there were actually Enscape assets. So, do
Yep.
you have any background on how those got made? And
Uh,
no,
our 3D artist team made those.
gotcha,
So,
gotcha. Just
yeah.
curious.
Yeah. Obviously, we have the custom asset editor too. So you can
Mhm.
create your own custom Enscape assets as well. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you can go to third-party sites like Evermotion or TurboSquid, get models from there, bring them inside of the Enscape asset editor, create the asset and apply those.
I mean, I guess technically speaking, you can actually export out a building from Revit as an FBX and load it up in the Enscape asset editor and make it an asset, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Yep. Because our custom asset editor will take FBX, OBJ, and GLTF files.
yeah,
So
that's
mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, we can look at with that just on that Enscape asset building. So yeah, that's what those buildings look like.
Got it.
So
And the looks like the bridge component isn't in there as an Enscape asset too. That's cool.
yep, this was a custom Enscape asset that our 3D artist team created. Same with the train.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. That's
So,
great.
mhm. Yeah. And then for those that don't know, here's our custom asset editor tab. So I just recently did a webinar on custom assets too, if people need to learn more about how to create custom Enscape assets as well.
That's sweet. We can include that in our email out after this meeting
All right.
is sure. Um, any other things you want to bring up? I don't see any more questions at the moment.
If anybody's going to Autodesk University or SketchUp Basecamp, we'll be there. So we'll have a booth there. So definitely swing by, say hi. Definitely ask any questions that you might have. Yeah, we'll have a good group of people there, so we can get any questions you have answered. We'll have, if you guys are interested in Vantage, we'll have a Vantage spot at the booth too. So have an artist demoing Vantage and 3ds Max as well.
That's awesome. Anything new that you guys will be showing there? Things that you can't talk about today, but we'll see in October.
Yep.
Awesome, cool.
Yep.
Just get
Definitely
people.
swing by the booth to check out some new stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. We'll get those links from you, Josh. Booth numbers and things like that, and we'll get those in our email blast out after this webinar, so people have something to look forward to if they're at AU or at Basecamp. We'll join you. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, definitely appreciate it.
Cool. Well, look, we appreciate your time today and everybody who joined us today. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us today. And Josh, always a pleasure to chat with you and work with you and stuff. And I really, I know this is a little bit last minute for you to come and join us today. So I really, really appreciate you jumping in and joining us today and giving us an overview.
Yeah, no problem at all. It's always great chatting with you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for
Cool.
having me.
All right. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Take care.